Thank you for staying with us. The Ogun State Independent Electoral Commission, OGSIEC, has announced the results of the 2024 local government chairmanship and councillorship elections, with the All Progressives Congress, APC, securing victories in all 20 local government areas and 236 wards across the state. The results were declared by OGSIEC Chairman Mr. Babatunde Osibodun during a live broadcast from the Commission's headquarters in Abeokuta. Mr. Osibodun revealed that a total of 613,156 votes were cast in the chairmanship elections across the state's 20 local government areas. The elections featured candidates from 19 political parties. And to unravel this, we're joined by a lawyer as well as a political affairs analyst, and that's Festus Ogun. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me in the studio. Let me kick off by asking, what you think about the APC's sweeping victories in Ogun State's local government elections, talking about what that speaks to the party's dominance at the grassroots levels.
There was no election properly so-called in Ogun State. We do not have to shy about that. What we had was an activity involving members of the political party, the leading political party in Ogun State, that's the All Progressives Congress. And we have a situation where they have foisted themselves on the good people of Ogun State. We had wards, we had polling units where there were no polling materials, where there were no electoral officers, yet we saw on TV how results were announced. We know how people were intimidated, members of opposition parties were intimidated, arrested, brutalized by elements loyal to the people in government. So in my respectful view, I do not think there was anything called an election in Ogun State.
When you say there is nothing called like an election in Ogun State, where does that leave other party members going forward?
I strongly feel that the election was not a reflection of the will and aspiration of the people of Ogun State. Yes, there were other members of other political parties that participated in the election. But was there an election? That's the question we've been asking ourselves. When you go to wards, you go to polling units, some, there were no electoral materials, some, the electoral officers were there, but there were no electoral materials. And that happened virtually in all parts of the state. So if that happened and results were announced, then it appears that it was just a fraud committed against the people of the state. And this brings to mind the very important question that, are we truly ready for democracy in this country? If we say we are operating a democracy, a constitutional democracy at that, are we going to keep a situation where a local government authority is now cherry-picked by the people in government? It shouldn't be so. What we had in Ogun State was a situation where the Electoral Commission only handpicked individuals from the APC that were simply loyal to the governor. So, in my view, it was just a case of fulfilling righteousness. It was just a case of fulfilling righteousness that, oh, we have conducted an election because there ought to be an election. But in the real sense of it, were the people really given the opportunity to choose their leaders?
Now let's talk about the people now, talking about the people themselves as the electorate. How would you describe voter turnout in this election? I know you raised concerns about electoral materials not being available, as well as electoral officers not being present while this election were conducted in certain areas of the state. How about the people themselves, the electorate? What was the voter turnout like?
Well, it was very obvious that the people could not have participated in the process because those that should have conducted the election did not even give room for that. I saw videos online how people that went, even the person contesting in the election, went to his own polling unit and they told him that, look, there were no ballot papers for the election that he was running for. That is to show you that it was just a case of fulfilling all righteousness. Those who were meant to conduct the election were only interested in doing so just for the sake of it, because one, people could not exercise their franchise, so we cannot pass any blame on them because there was no ideal platform where they can express themselves or choose their leader. So if such platform is not provided for, so why should we even be, maybe passing any blame or guilt tripping the electorate? Well, I do not think the electorate should be blamed at all.
Well, just to point out there, not like we're passing blames or guilt tripping the electorate, just to understand the size or magnitude of voter turnout, as they are also active members when it comes to democracy in Nigeria. But then let's talk about going forward now. Let's talk solutions now. Looking ahead, what lessons have we learned in hindsight when it comes to electoral officers like INEC in conducting elections? What have we learned so far to help improve on the processes of elections going forward?
I do not believe that state electoral commission are capable of conducting elections in Nigeria as it stands. You see, the provision of Section 151 of the Electoral Act is very clear that state electoral commissions cannot conduct any election that contravenes the provisions of the Electoral Act in respect of area council. So the procedures for conducting election in area council, that's in Abuja, has to be applied in equal force by state electoral commission. So when state electoral commission acts outside the scope of the provisions of the Electoral Act in respect of area council, then what the election conducted by them will be deemed as invalid. So because most of the governors take advantage of the weakness of the state electoral body, then I would advocate that maybe INEC should step in to conduct the elections for us. Because if you go to virtually all the states, you see the political party that elected the government will be the one that will sweep all the seats, including the councillorship and the chairmanship position. All. So the question is, why is it that the parties loyal to the government or the parties that the government belongs to, why are they the one clearing all the political seats in the states in election conducted by the state electoral body? But when it comes to election conducted by INEC, you see that other political parties would win. So that means that there is a level of incompetence on the part of state electoral body. So I would advocate that INEC should step in and conduct state election for us.
But you do know by law that INEC does not have the powers to conduct all of the state elections. That may need to be adjusted in the Constitution. But let me find out from you, elections done and dusted now when it comes to councillorship as well as chairmanship position in Ogun State. What implications does this pose, for opposition parties in Ogun State in future elections? What are the fears?
I am afraid, again, I'll say it for the 10th time, that the Electoral Commission in Ogun State, the OGSIEC, is incapable of conducting free, fair, and credible election. The state opposition political parties have a responsibility to challenge these cases of malpractices in courts. As it stands, they have that responsibility to challenge the election. If not, this perilous precedent will be repeated in years to come. And considering the significance of the local government council in light of the recent Supreme Court judgment, we cannot afford to toy away with how a local government chairman or the councillors will be elected into office. So I feel that the opposition parties has to be more vigilant and they should not allow these infractions to slide. I think they should take action.
All right, thank you so much for your expertise on the news. Festus Ogun, public affairs analyst as well as a lawyer. Thanks also for your kind company.
Thank you for having me.